Hey everybody, JTISREBORN here, and welcome to another edition of my Batman the Animated Series reviews. This time we're going to be taking a look at episode number 70, House and Garden. So this episode actually aired as episode number 66, but production order was much later, and when I'm reviewing these I'm going by production order. So anyways, let's go ahead and talk about all this. So, House and Garden. The episode begins, there's some giant weird creature thing climbing up the side of a building, and then he steals something from some rich dude who looks kind of like Mockridge from the episode If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? The first appearance of the Riddler. I'm like, is that Mockridge? He kind of looks like him. So for a second or two, I thought that actually was, Mockridge, but that's just me. So, anyways, then we find out Batman thinks it's poison ivy. These weird creature things, poison, all that stuff, leads directly to her. Now, these weird creature things, actually, if I remember, appeared in the video game Batman Vengeance, which is kind of like a neat tie into that game, and I think that's really got the idea was from this particular episode. And yeah, those things are kind of, they were kind of a pain in the ass to fight in the game, according to my memory. But anyway, so they go and investigate Ivy, find out that she seemingly has a family. She's married to some psychiatrist named Stephen Carlisle, and she has two stepchildren, Chris and Kelly, who seemingly are just really happy to have her as a mom. And you're just like, oh, well, that's kind of nice. I kind of like the idea of, a reformed character, seemingly happy with kids and that. I'm someone who likes the redemption storylines. I like a lot of redemption in characters, and just seeing characters from one place and then, evolve to another, I think it's rather interesting. But anyway, so he's trying to figure out, and Poison Ivy's like, no, that mantra is dead. And then we go to a really funny scene where Dick Grayson is at a dorm. He's in his dorm, he's got some chick with him, her name's Cindy, and I'm like, okay, this is Dick Grayson here, kind of womanizer. They bring up how all the girls are falling around, so I'm like, okay, that's totally Dick Grayson. But anyway, so he's with her, and the funniest part of this episode is when all of a sudden he gets a call, and he's like, I didn't expect to hear from you tonight. He's just like, are you busy? And then the girl hears this and she's just like, fine, I'll leave. And then he's like, not anymore. And then Batman's like, sorry, didn't mean to wreck things for you, Dick. But that part definitely cracked me up. And then all of a sudden one of those weird plant monster things comes out, and then it grabs Dick and kidnaps him, smashing through a door. I'm surprised Dick didn't jump out the window or something, because he's done it before. He snuck in and out. It was the Demon's Quest, he sneaks in and out of the window, so I don't get why he was all of a sudden oh, scary plant monster, I can't get out the window, or he uses quick reflexes or something to avoid it. I don't know, I think he could have escaped. But anyways, so actually before we continue with that, I think what should have happened is Cindy was in there with him, and then she tries to get, attacked, and then he comes to defend her, and then he gets captured. Because him on the ground kind of panicking like that, I don't necessarily like that idea. I like the idea if he tried to escape through the window or something, because he's done this before, like I said in the Demon's Quest episode. But in here he just seemingly is like, oh, scary plant monster, oh. So he gets kidnapped, and then the plant creature, which was voiced by Jim Cummings, by the way, which is pretty cool, and he's just like, I'm Jim Cummings, very creepy and scary. So that thing comes in, and then Bruce, he threatens Bruce, give us $5 million, blah 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 blah, and then Bruce, saves Robin, and then he fights the plant monster thing. He clips its fingers off, or kind of its nails off, which was kind of cool. And then him and Robin basically go and investigate Pamela Isley and find out that her family thing was all a ruse. Carlisle was just being kept in this tank or whatever, which is kind of and then the creepiest part of the episode, you hear the children talking, and then these plants morph into these children, and it's just freaky as hell. And then Batman had realized that he figured things weren't right, so he had pumped the water supply with weed killer, and he killed all the things. And then all of a sudden Poison Ivy starts melting away, and I'm like, wait, what? And it turns out that was also created Ivy. But at the end of the episode, it's kind of an interesting one, where in the thing we realized that Poison Ivy had kind of almost a happily married life, but Batman's just what, I may have believed her when she said that, he's narrated at the end of the episode. And then the end of it, we see her flying away. She's looking at her photo album. Got photos of Harley Quinn and stuff. And then she looks at her wedding photo, which, was to Stephen Carlisle, and she had the two fake kids or whatever. And she actually starts to cry. I think having this little extra scene really added to the episode, and just seeing like Ivy's emotional state and such. And for once in her life, she just seemed happy to have a family. And I'm like, you know what? What if, things didn't. What if she didn't start like robbing people for their money and stuff? Like, she could have actually just had like a happy life if she just kept to herself. But once again, you have to keep going back to your vices, got to keep going back to this stuff, got to keep doing this, got to keep doing that. But yeah, so like in terms of Poison Ivy episodes, this is the best one out of all of them, like in terms of like Ivy focused, where it's just her. Because you got House and Garden, which is a pretty big one. But like all the other ones, like this is really like the last Ivy focused episode, because she's really just mentioned in things, and then she shows up a lot more in the new Batman adventures, but she doesn't really like have any other like factors in the original animated series. And then she did the Gotham Girls Flash TV show thingamajig, and that's what happened afterwards. But yeah, so House and Garden, it's a solid episode, best of the Poison Ivy ones. And it has kind of like the saddest, most tragic ending out of all of them. But I do think this is a very strong episode. It's definitely worth checking out. Paul Dini wrote it, and he's such an amazing writer that, and anything he honestly touched was good. Like, every time he wrote an episode, like, you just know it's good. Like, he's never, done anything, like, bad. Like, I'm just saying, like, he is not, he hasn't done anything terrible. Like, all his writing has been good. He's never put out anything that's awful or just, piss people off, because he's an extremely talented writer, and I appreciate that about him. I mean, him and Bruce Timm worked very well together in the animated series, but whereas Bruce Timm has kind of gotten some shit in recent years for some of the newer DC animated stuff, like Killing Joke in particular, definitely got some crap for that, especially that rooftop scene, which every time I think about it, it never happened. And then even the Batman Harley Quinn movie, which I thought was a pretty good time. It was fun to see that. Like, he wasn't up to the high standards, but basically from where he was at before. Like, Paul Dini, when you start to see Tim on his own versus away from Paul Dini, you start to realize how important Paul Dini was and contributing to the original animated series and all his hard work. And yeah, he was the best at writing all the characters. He literally was the best writer the show had. Like, I mean, everything this man touched, writing-wise, turned to gold. Even the Arkham games, he wrote, like, Arkham Asylum and Arkham City, and, like, these huge scripts, but his, dialogue and storylines and stuff with him, he's amazing. Like, I don't get why Warner Brothers isn't marching on his door and just be like, okay, Paul, we want you to write, the Batman movie. Just have Paul Dini write it. You're gold. But apparently not, so yep, that's all I gotta say. Thanks for watching, everybody. Hope you enjoyed this video. Be sure to comment, like, and subscribe for more content, and I'll talk to you all later. Okay, peace out.